Hey everybody, welcome to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Guys, welcome to the 84th edition of Palm Tree Sports Radio. I can't wait to get into the bids that we have to talk about today. After this week, wrapping up preseason for NFL football, we're going to talk about how all three of the Florida teams did, especially in the head-to-head matchup in the South with the Miami Dolphins and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that took off on Friday night here in Tampa Bay. We're also going to go ahead and talk a little bit about college football. Now, if that is back, we'll talk about what happened with the Seminoles, and we'll talk about what to expect moving forward with the Gators as well as Miami. And obviously, they'll be playing each other, so that's going to be a very interesting part to stand by, guys. Also, we have some MLS action to talk about. Of course, we boast the best team in the MLS at the moment, and we will get into what is going on there with Inter Miami. We'll also talk about what's going on with Orlando City, and then we'll head on over to the MLB and discuss what's going on in the world of baseball as far as the Sunshine State is concerned with the Tampa Bay Rays and the Miami Marlins, guys. I can't wait to get into that and a whole lot more on this episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio, and as always, my name is Corey Pujols, your host, and is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Keep it locked here, guys. We'll get started in a minute. Hey everybody, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Guys, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you guys on. I can't wait to get into talk about what we have going on again in the world of sports here in the Sunshine State. But first things first, let's go ahead and address my favorite part of the show, which is going to be the comments. Taryn, I see you. It's always a pleasure to have you here, my friend. I appreciate you every time you get to join my show. I'm very thankful, and I'm very appreciative of all the work that you do within IE Sports Radio as well. And Yukio, it's good to see you, my friend. It's good to see you. Let's get into this business, yeah? So first things first, guys, for all of you who are social media fanatics, let's go ahead and get into the mix as far as our socials are concerned. So if you are looking for us, first things first, you can find us on your socials, whether it be X, formerly known as Twitter, IG, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, IE Sports Radio. That's at IE Sports Radio. Guys, come give us a follow. Come join the conversation. Let's see what's going on in all these states, and let's talk about what's going on, all things sports, guys. And then, of course, if you are looking for where to reach us on the podcast stations, anywhere you get your podcast, you can hear us, guys. So that's going to be Apple Podcasts. That's going to be Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, Amazon, whatever, fix your fancy, whatever it is that, make sure the wheels on your bus go round and round. That's where you can find us, guys. And I'm impartial, guys. I listen to Apple Podcasts. There's actually quite a few that I listen to outside of just IE Sports Radio. So, but just take my word for it, guys. You can find us anywhere you can think of. that's where we're at. If you're looking for the direct website, the hub of IE Sports Radio is iesportsradio.com. That is where you can find all of our shows listed, current, and all of the most recent information and content coming from IE Sports Radio will be on the website. Just a generalistic way to figure out exactly what show you want to listen to. And if that show happens to be Palm Tree Sports Radio, well, guess what, guys? We have the direct link to that as well. It's iesportsradio.com/Palm Tree Sports, guys. That is my specific show, the show we are listening to right now, guys. Come hit the website. Come check it out. Tell me what your thoughts are. And tell me what you're thinking about on the sports coming out, especially now that we're about to be back in the swing of pro football, basketball, and then pretty soon hockey will be returning as well. So guys, if you're looking to pick up some swag, if you're looking to pick up some apparel, it's going to be iesportsradio.com/shop, guys. Go get yourself a hat or a t-shirt. As you guys know, I am repping the Tampa Bay, of course. It's hard to take this thing off when we're winning, and we're playing well. So, hey, forgive me, but don't forgive me. Whatever fix your fancy again. For Palm Tree Sports, it's going to be Palmtree_IE, guys. That's where you're going to be able to find this handle for the show on all of your socials. So whether again that is X, whether that is IG, or whatever you're looking for online through your socials, this is where you can find my show's social networking channel. And if you are looking for me personally, well, guess what, guys? I'm not hard to find. At Pujols Corey is where you can find me on Twitter. Over there is my handle. And guys, I'm always talking sports. I have an opinion on everything, and I hope you guys do too. That's kind of what makes the world go round. And I would love to hear your opinions. Whatever your opinions may be, that is where you can reach me at Pujols Corey across all my socials. Again, I am on Twitter, I am on IG, I am on TikTok, guys. And again, I'm always talking all things sports. So that is where you can reach us if you are socially inclined, or if you are just on the internet looking for more information. These would be the places to look. But guys, we also have a special message from our sponsors that we are going to go ahead and get into. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Planet Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole nother planet, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals by our very own Cecilia B. Guys, go ahead and check out our sponsors, and we'll be back in a few moments with some more information for you guys, okay?
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio, guys. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you again to our sponsors. They really help this radio station and podcast really blossom, and without them, it would be very hard for us to do what we do. So we're very thankful for our sponsors. Again, Planet Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole nother planet, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals by our very own Cecilia B. Thank you guys so much. Hey, guys, it is a pleasure to come to you right now today and talk to you guys, just about what's going on in the world of sports, guys. We actually have a ton of things to talk about today. And as always, we're going to go ahead and get started with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys. So if you guys have been watching the preseason, you guys have probably seen, some of what the Buccaneers have been doing. Like myself, I watch pretty much all sports, which means even when I'm not directly watching the game, whatever the game may be, I do have my phone's ESPN app open, and I am also I always have Google open on my phone. Pretty much I have a Google tab open at all times is what I mean to say. And I think that's just a big part of being able to stay, up to date with what's going on with whatever team it is that I am following. So I think that's what helps out a lot. And I think that also, if you guys do the same, that means you guys probably all see the same thing. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into what is going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So first things first, they were able to close out their game against the Dolphins, which is the final game of the preseason, guys. They closed that game out pretty well. I have to admit, I'm very impressed with how they played in this game. They did a phenomenal job. Okay, first things first, let's talk about some of the outstanding things that we saw, right? So Baker Mayfield comes out on the first drive, and he's perfect, right? Like, he looks absolutely amazing. He looks like he's completely in command of this offense. He was, again, at it with the smelling salts before the game, and I think that he gets so wired. I think he's so happy to be here, and I think he's so talented that if he doesn't doubt himself, he's getting ready to prove a lot of people wrong, and I think it started with this preseason game. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, right? It's a preseason game. How do we know? Well, one of the things that we know is, excuse me, my apologies, guys. One of the things that we do know is that with the Buccaneers, when they start strong, they play strong. It's when they're doubting themselves that they're losing. Like, let's be 100% clear about this. Baker Mayfield is a phenomenal quarterback, but he gets inside his own head sometimes, and he doesn't always have the ability to move past the mistake that he made. And I think that's something that now he's having this resurgence with Tampa Bay is something that he's really honing in on, focusing on. And I think he's becoming a better player because of it. And that's an example of what I mean when I look at Baker and I say, man, this team can be very successful. All he has to do is just stay focused. If he makes a mistake, it's okay. He's just got to be able to have enough conviction in himself to say, hey, I made a mistake and it's time for me to move on, right? Because I think what we do, a lot of us do, especially if you guys can relate to this, is we'll make a mistake and then we'll beat ourselves up a little bit too much, right? And we'll kind of hold ourselves down, not self-sabotaging, but when you have that type of conviction, when you realize that you're better than the mistakes that you make, sometimes it can weigh on you. And I think that's something that Baker experienced early on in his career, especially when you look at what he did in college. He was a walk-on, and then he goes to Oklahoma, and he's an absolute beast. I mean, he wins a Heisman Trophy. He's a number 1 overall draft pick. The kid he oozes creativity and wizardry and just everything that you look for. He's got great vision. He's got great mobility. When he's making great decisions, he's unstoppable. It's things like that we see from him, and we think to ourselves, man, if only he could do that consistently, right? Well, it was a great start for him this offseason, during the preseason, I should say. And I mean, he was perfect on the drive. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about it. The stats speak for themselves. He goes 3 for 3. I think it was like 48 yards and a TD. Offense looked great. Offense looked beautiful, and they didn't even have to use Mike Evans. That's the other thing that I think is kind of alarming when you look at this and you kind of forget that whole drive. Mike Evans wasn't targeted a single time. Okay, Jalen McMillan. What can we say? The kid's a baller, but we knew that, right? Kid out of Washington, rookie. He was wearing number 15, made that beautiful catch on the sideline in the first quarter, in that first drive again, from Baker. And Baker showing a lot of trust, right? Baker showing a lot of maturity in the pocket and knowing what he has down the field with Jalen McMillan. And an example like this is one of those things where, like I said, you love to see it because our wide receiving core, I think, is one of the very best in all of football. Of course, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and now Jalen McMillan. In the back, we still have Raheem Jarrett. He's going to start the season on injury reserve, for the record, guys, so you guys won't be seeing him anytime soon. But we do still have him at the moment. And there are a couple other receivers that are most likely going to make the team as well. I'm super proud of this team's wide receiving core and how well they've been especially since we've gotten Chris Godwin. I mean, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, it's hard to find a better 1-2 punch in the NFL right now. Like, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. It's very hard to find a better 1-2 punch. So very pleased with this team, very pleased with how Baker started the game. And then Kyle Trask is actually the main story here, because this is one of the things where people say to yourselves, okay, Kyle Trask, man, he was a high draft pick in 2021. He hasn't seen much playing time, guys. He played at Florida. He was so close to an SEC championship and national championship opportunity. Unfortunately, we just fell short because of how amazing the SEC was at the time. I believe it was LSU who kind of ran away with things, and we weren't able to beat LSU in the regular season, which ultimately is what knocked us out of the playoffs in that season for college football. So when you look at Kyle Trask, this guy has all the tangibles, right? He can do it, but it's the lack of certain things at certain times that really stresses him out. I think one of the things is with him is that because he doesn't get a lot of time with the first teamers, that I think that he hasn't been able to develop a lot of continuity in the sense where he can come in at any point in time during a game and actually make a difference. And I've seen I know a lot of people who are looking for Kyle Trask to have the opportunity to play football. So that's why I say that. Nonetheless, he goes 17 of 24, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Phenomenal. That's what you like to see, right? That's exactly what we're here to see. And I'm very glad that he was able to do that. Good job, Kyle Trask. The Buccaneers' next game is going to be the first regular season game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That game is going to be against the Commanders. That's going to be Sunday, September 8th. It is an afternoon game. Now, typically for the Buccaneers, it is a 1 p.m. game to start the season. That is not the case this time. 4:25 is going to be the start time. Again, that's going to be Buccaneers versus Commanders Sunday, September 8th. 4:25 p.m. start time. No football next week, guys. No Buccaneers football next week. So just keep that in consideration. But, my final thoughts were great job, Buccaneers. Extremely proud with how they started this preseason, and I hope that this continues to carry on into the regular season. I think there's nothing more to say. This team is stacked on offense and defense. If our defensive backs can hold the line, we're a playoff team. We're once again division champion and possibly making it farther than the divisional round. And that's pretty much what we're hoping to see here. In the meantime, between time, we'll have to see. We'll have to see, obviously, how these links perform. The backup spot for the running back position has been taken up by Bucky Irving, so super proud of this backfield as well, guys. So pay attention to that, too. The Buccaneers will be a top 10 rushing team this year. That's my bold take for this season. The Fins, guys, the Fins. Now, they lost, right, obviously, and what can we say about the loss? Well, what can we say is, for one, not many of their starters played. I guess this is where we can start with things. Not many of their starters played, guys. And when you don't have too many starters playing, there's a little bit less of a expectation to win, I think, would be a perfect way to look at this. I think that when you look at the Fins, you look at a team that saw some playoff, or a playoff berth last year, found a lot of success offensively. They were up and down defensively. There were times where they were tremendous on defense. There were times where their offense was their defense. And when you put up 72 points in a game, wow, right? Wow. So offense is absolutely humming. I think that this team is going to be very, very hard to deal with in the AFC. I just think that they might think that they're better than they actually are. And again, when I look back at some of the games that they played, some of the teams that they struggle with, I look at teams like the Ravens, I look at teams like the Chiefs, and I look at teams like the Buffalo Bills because they're a division rival. And I say, Miami, can you beat these teams? Right? At the end of the day, let's not dance around the fire. Let's talk about what's really going on here, right? Can you beat these teams? Because if the answer is no, then all of the star power that you have, the head coach and the Tua Tagovailoa and the Tyreek Hill and all this, Jalen Waddle, all this speed, all this talent that you have means nothing if you can't beat those teams. And also, Tyreek has struggled against his former team. Okay, so yes, I think the Fins can absolutely find success, but I think that they are stuck in a situation like in the early 90s. If you guys remember how the Buffalo Bills went to 4 Super Bowls and they lost all 4. But then you look in the NFC and you see 2 clear best teams in the NFC, and it was the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. I think that basically the Finns are essentially any other NFC team during that time frame. I think that they're just right on the outside looking at these two powerhouses at Kansas City and Baltimore, right? So because I feel that way, I just think that the Finns are going to have a successful season, but if they cannot clear these hurdles, if they cannot clear the rest of the AFC, they're going to be right where they are this year, or ended last year, I should say, and we're still going to be looking at them and saying, hey, is this a good team, or is this just another team with a lot of talent that doesn't know what to do with it? Do they get lost in space? Is the decision-making lack? Is this, a low-grade caliber position battle that they have, in other positions outside of quarterback, wide receiver, defensive back, and defensive line? You see what I'm saying? Running back as well. They have a good running back room as well. Mike White was the guy that we saw a lot of during that preseason game against Tampa Bay. He has been cut for obvious reasons. They had Skylar Thompson back there for the longest time. He's been back there for a few years now, so it makes sense that he would stay. I personally didn't see Mike White really having a chance. So I watched him. The kid's not bad, but he's not better than Skylar, and I would have made the exact same decision, especially when you have Tua and you have, like I said, a kid like Skylar who's closer to Tua than probably the other quarterbacks out there. And then, of course, the next game is going to be against the Jaguars. We're going to talk about that one way or another because the next team we're going to talk about is the Jaguars. But that game is going to also be Sunday, September 8th at 1 p.m. There's the 1 p.m. game, and I think that's the reason why they got the 1 p.m. game is because, obviously, we have all three teams in Florida playing. So with two of them playing each other, it would make sense actually to put that either at the primetime spot or a 1 o'clock spot and just leave the Tampa Bay bit for the middle, especially since Tampa Bay was the team that won their division last year. So I think that's kind of what makes it a little bit easier to put that in the 425 slot versus the in-state Florida rivalry game. So super excited to see how that game goes, of course, especially with the way the Jaguars have looked during this preseason. They look absolutely phenomenal. And we'll get into that in a second, of course. But Miami, of course, they have all the firepower. They have the most firepower, if you will, as far as talent in specific areas is concerned. I would say Tampa Bay has the better overall team, with their only weakness really being the secondary, specifically cornerback position. I wouldn't say the safeties are, Antoine Winfield Jr., Jordan Whitehead. I'm not concerned about our safeties. I think we have two of the best safeties in the league. Defensive line, same thing, Vita Vea. When you just look across this line, you see a lot of studs at the end of the day. Let's just call it like what it is. We see a lot of studs, and I love this defensive line, so I can't wait to see how they perform. So yeah, I think Miami has the most firepower in specific spots, but I think that Tampa Bay has the best team. I think the Jaguars have the most potential, but that's because they have to have the most potential when these other two teams are playing as well as they are. Let's take a quick visit to the comments real quick and see what's going on. Hey, Ralph, Marcus, my guys, it's good to see y'all. Yes, absolutely. Salute, my man. It's good to see you, Marcus. Hey, man, there's a lot going on, man. I can't wait to hear your show about what just happened recently. I'm going to leave that to you. And Ralph, it's always good to see you, my friend. Absolutely. Yeah, Dad should be here somewhere. He's probably listening. He's having some back pain, so he's probably chilling out and whatnot. But he's probably listening in the background somewhere, relaxing with it in his ear or something to that effect. Wouldn't be surprised if I see a comment from him coming any moment now. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Love my old man. But in any case, back to what we were talking about with the show, guys. So with the Jaguars, of course, right? So the Jaguars are in a completely different situation, right? They played a amazing postseason, or not postseason, but preseason, guys. And why does that matter? Because this is a team with a lot of potential. Like I said, this is a team with a great amount of potential. I'm not exactly sure if they're going to tap into it because, again, last year we saw them. They were on an absolute tear at one point. I think they were like 7-2, and then boom, they just went downhill, lost 4 in a row, I think it was. And then we were sitting here looking like, is this the team that we thought was going to make some type of splash in the playoffs and surprise everybody? Well, I don't know. The Jaguars historically, after they have a really good season, have like a mediocre season. Last year was a bit of a mediocre season after that great start. So then I look at this season, I say, okay, well, they have the opportunity to do either or. I really hope they have a very successful season, and they'll have a great shot to figure out how good they're going to be against Miami. So I say that to say this. The Falcons game, the final preseason game of the season, they whooped them 31-0. Great. Are the Falcons a good team? Listen, there's a lot of people out there who were labeling the Falcons as the favorite to win the NFC South, and I think they were doing that just because they want to bury Tampa Bay again. Let's be clear. Tampa Bay is the best team in the NFC South. They have the best roster in the NFC South, and they're a decent playoff team, as we saw last year by them defeating the Philadelphia Eagles in the fashion they did, absolutely destroying the Eagles. I think it was 31-9, and then they move on to the next round. The divisional round against the Detroit Lions, and without the referees, I'm gonna be honest with you. If the referees don't call the game the way they called that game, Tampa Bay wins that game by 10 points. I'm so serious, guys. Go back and rewatch the game. Just go back and rewatch the game. I'm telling you guys, for those of you who did not watch that theatrical nightmare, okay, Tampa Bay hung with Detroit the whole time. And when it was time, Detroit was making mistakes and Tampa Bay was making plays. Go back and look at the game. I'm telling you right now, if the referees called a fair game, Tampa Bay wins that game. Now, do they win the following week? I don't know. We lost to San Francisco earlier in the season, okay? And we lost to San Francisco the same way we lost to them the time before that. San Francisco is actually absolute juggernaut, and they should have won the Super Bowl if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot and start making bad decisions, all right? And I mean, like, with a 6-shooter. They were just like bang, bang, bang in their foot. Like, I don't know what the San Francisco 49ers were thinking. But, hey, it is what it is. History has repeated itself. And, you know, here we are looking at Tampa Bay saying this is a team on the outside looking in that has beaten the Chiefs before, okay, and could possibly do it again. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to do it if we played with the team that we currently have. So that's what I think as far as the Jaguars go. It's weird to be talking about them in this sense because we have to see them perform better. I mean, okay, you can win the AFC South, but like the NFC South, it's a weak division. Are you going to be good, just like we were talking about the Dolphins, against the Ravens, against the Chiefs? Are you going to be able to defeat the Texans and keep them from winning the division the way that they did last year? These are the questions that are going to be surrounding the Jaguars. Now, can they? Yes, absolutely. I think that Trevor Lawrence getting injured was a very big part of the downfall of the Jaguars, and I think that if he can stay healthy, that this team would perform better than they did last year. Can I guarantee it? No. Do I think that this team has what it takes to beat the Chiefs or the Ravens? And I'm still going to say I don't think so. Not that they can't. I just don't think so with what I have seen up until this point. But I do have faith in them. And I do think that if they do play either of these teams in the playoffs, which I think they'll make the playoffs this year, I think that they will, you know, if they win that game, then we're talking about, you know, AFC Championship game, Super Bowl. If they can't beat the Ravens or the Chiefs clean, no. And that's the case for any AFC team that's not the Ravens or the Chiefs. It's that simple. All right. Again, Chiefs have the best player in football at the moment. Ravens have, well, you know, it's weird to say that. The Ravens might have the best player in football at the moment, and the Chiefs might just have the best head coach. That might be it. Could be it. Lamar Jackson is the MVP. Lamar Jackson's actually great. I'm gonna leave that for you guys to just, you know, to turn out. Like, y'all tell me what y'all think when it comes to that. But I think, you know, I think that the Ravens do have the best player, and I think they have the best team. But Andy Reid is clearly the best head coach in the league at the moment. I don't think that there's any discrepancy behind that, and he's been a tremendous coach all this time. But hey, listen, that's my thought process on it. A couple of quick stats before I send you guys on the first break of the evening, okay? So, obviously, T-Law goes 8 for 10, 80%, great percentage, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Phenomenal. It's what you love to see, right? Again, this is against an Atlanta team that I don't think is actually good. I know people think that Atlanta's good. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Atlanta's not good. You'll know when Atlanta's good because the fans will tell you they're good. The fans are not saying that about Atlanta right now. We're not going to talk about what the fans are saying. They just got beat 31-0 in a preseason game. So, your guess is as good as mine is. But then Mac Jones comes. So this was the thing that we want to see was Mac Jones. Is he good or is he not good? Well, if we're talking about this game, he was good. Mac Jones goes 13 of 18, 113 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Great. Absolutely great. So they've got a great quarterback at the start. They've got a good quarterback behind them. Let's see if the rest of the team can follow suit. Right. At the end of the day, that's what we're going to have to wait and see is if the rest of that team can work around that. ETN, Brian Thomas Jr., all those boys that they have on offense, the revamped offensive line, and of course, the help that they added in the areas they did on defense as well, and the depth that they also created during the offseason. All things that are going to have to coalesce here for the Jaguars to find success and win the AFC South. But guys, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when, as the season unfolds. And against the very first game of the season, as we talked about earlier, is going to be against the Fins. So Fins Jaguars week 1. That game is against Sunday, September 8th, 1 p.m. That is the in Florida rivalry game, one of the three games that you could, one of the three rivalry games that you could get, with the other two usually always happening during the preseason. So yeah, guys, that's just what it is right now coming out of Sunshine State as far as the world of the NFL is concerned. Guys, let's go ahead and get into our first break of the evening. When we get back, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about what's going on in college football. We'll talk about some MLS. We'll talk about the MLB, and then I'll send you guys on your way with some food for thought, guys. But keep it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, or my apologies, Palm Tree Sports Radio, hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Rose Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio, guys. My name is Corey Pujols, and as always, I am brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, guys. Welcome back to the show. Now that we've covered everything as far as the NFL is concerned, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in college football, guys. Let's go ahead and jump right on into the Gators and what to expect from them this coming season, guys. So here's the deal. Hear me out. The Gators have the hardest schedule in college football right now, and I think they have the hardest schedule in college football history. If I remember correctly, they have to play LSU, Georgia, and Texas back-to-back. That's unheard of. That's legitimately, even when the SEC West was the powerhouse that it wasn't like one team had to play Alabama, LSU, and then another top 10 ranked team in the West by itself. And then not to mention have to play the rivalry game that determined who won it. The closest thing we ever saw to that was, I believe, LSU had to play Alabama, and then they had to play Ole Miss when Ole Miss was a top 10 ranked team back-to-back. That was the last time I saw a, back-to-back game series where I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, they have to win both of these games. Like, they can't lose. And if they do lose and lose again, it's over for them. Like, not just as far as the conference is concerned, but recruiting and all those other things that we pay attention to from a WL perspective. Excuse me. So that's one of the things to take into consideration with the Florida Gators. However, at the same time, we are garnering a lot of national attention. We are making some very huge recruits as a result of the pressure that's being put on us, because let's be real, everybody can't just go to Alabama. Everybody can't just go to Ohio State or just everybody can't just go to, Florida State or Georgia or all these top, schools and what. I'm sorry, Ohio State just makes me ill. Anybody else feel that way when they say that team? I know you guys in Michigan do. I know y'all get the same way whenever y'all hear it. So, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, the point behind everything I'm saying is get ready for a very electrifying college football season. I can't wait to see how it unfolds, just due to the way that the season already started. Yesterday, for those of you who are watching college football, was the first college football game day broadcast. I don't know about you guys, but I get super excited for college football game day. It's one of my favorite shows to watch. And as a result, we did see an upset already. But before we get to the upset, the Gators, they're going to be playing number 19 ranked Miami, and that's going to be next Saturday, August 31st, 3:30 p.m. Guys, going to be a great game. I think the Gators are going to come in. They're going to upset Miami, and I think it's not just going to be an upset. I think they're actually going to hurt Miami pretty bad. The reason why I feel this way is very, very simple, okay? Miami hasn't known who they are for years, okay? They've been struggling with their identity for just a very, very long time. Why? I'm sure I don't know, but I don't have the components to the answer of that question. In the early 2000s, and if you just go before that, right? Like if you just go 2001 and you go backwards, one of the top 5 winningest colleges in college football, okay, period, the end. And if you just that 25-year period between the 1980s and the early 2000s, this school was absolutely phenomenal. After that, it's like they sold their soul and now they're paying the price or something, they're in purgatory. They're in purgatory, ranked or not ranked. I don't care about the recruits. I don't care about the star system. They can't keep continuity in the coaching positions, right? And yeah, one might say, well, you're a Gator, Corey. You've seen a bunch of head coaches come and go. And I'm like, yeah, but this is the University of Florida. In the 2000s, this team has been revered. This is a team that we go play other teams, and they're just like, but you can't sleep on this Gator team. And we're like, yeah, trust me, we know. We saw what Tim Tebow did with those 2 national championships. Trust me, we know exactly what we have here at Florida. The problem is with that is at times our coaching staff has been a little lax when it comes to recruiting, and they haven't focused on developing around the future of the program instead of kind of developing around a specific year that they want to find success in, and then just hoping that the talent carries them the rest of the way. And thankfully, we've been able to recruit so well that has happened. However, due to that same logic, we've lost a lot of great talent, and we've lost a lot of great talent to colleges that made the most out of it. I can't really dress it up another way, but if you guys remember Cam Newton was behind Tim Tebow. He leaves the University of Florida, goes to Auburn, boom, national champion. I mean, that's the example that I want to set for you guys. That's exactly what I want you to think about when you think about Florida recruiting in the early 2000s. Now I feel like we're doing the best recruiting we've done since Steve Spurrier. I'm going to be 100% honest with my best Steve Spurrier. Urban Meyer. We're doing the best recruiting since Urban Meyer. And that says a lot. I think that if Billy Napier goes positive this year, even if it's just 1 or 2 games, I think he keeps his job, and I think next year is a blossoming season. This season, again, we have the hardest schedule in all college football. I look forward to seeing how it unfolds, but I am a little skeptical when we hit that 3-4 game runoff where we're playing top 10 ranked teams every week in succession. Like I said, at some point we're going to have to play, I believe it is LSU, Georgia, and Texas all back to back, I believe it is. So just keep your eyes out for Gator football, guys. Again, the first game is going to be against Miami. That's number 19th ranked Miami, Saturday, August 31st at 3:30 p.m. As for what I just said, that's why I'm not really going to talk about the Miami Hurricanes. There's not a whole lot to say. They've got their coaching staff finally, but again, they've been in a coaching staff rotational change for the better part of the last 13, 14 years, give or take. This team has been struggling, and they've just been struggling a lot. So hopefully they were able to find some continuity there in the coaching staff, and now that they have some guys in position to be successful, I hope that they're able to find success. I just don't see it happening on year 1, game 1, day 1, okay, and not against the Florida Gators, who low-key have one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football and one of the best wide receivers in all of college football. And if you guys pay attention to the O-line stats, we also have one of the best O-lines in college football. So get ready for some Gator football, guys. So that's what's going on there for the Florida Gators. Now, as far as this other team that I'm not as fond of, okay, and we're going to talk about that team, the Florida State Seminoles. I think that this team was very, very disappointing. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. So as a Gator, right, I will sit here and I will watch the Noles games, right? How could I not? Like, I have to see how this team is performing. I got to know what we're going to experience at the end of the season. Noles suck. Yep, they suck. They suck. That was a terrible first game. It as a Gator who's watched the Seminoles now for 24 years, this team is the most, and I'm saying this after one game. Absolutely, I'm saying this after one game. Okay, this is the most unorganized Florida State team I've seen in at least a decade, maybe more than a decade, because Jameis was he came out, it was 2014 draft, I think it was, that the Buccaneers drafted him. So yeah, I'm going to say this is probably the most unorganized Florida State team I've seen in a decade. The head coach is already on the hot seat. When you go out and you lose to Georgia Tech, there are going to be a lot of questions. Okay. The questions are going to be, who's your quarterback? What happened to the offense? How did y'all lose to Georgia Tech? And how do you fix it so that it doesn't happen again? I think you can answer all of those questions, but I don't think you can answer them immediately. I don't think you can address them immediately. When you look at the way this team played, Georgia Tech just wanted it more. Like, I watched the game. I'm telling you guys, I could point out specific plays and stats. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you one play. The quarterback, Haynes, for Georgia Tech, he calls his own number, right? Or the coach calls his number. I mean, whatever it was, great call, right? Because what it did was it kind of set the tone for the game to let them know, hey, look, we just want this more than y'all. I mean, yeah, you're a great college. You got a great franchise and a lot of history, and you do the thing, and then the guy on the horse comes through and, in the middle of the field and throws the spear down, and everybody does their thing and whatnot. And we don't care about none of that. That's literally what Georgia Tech said when they walked into the game. And Haynes takes the snap, and he does the old Tebow where he takes the snap, he turns, looks, and then he breaks it off the weak side. He breaks it off the weak side for about an 11-yard gain and a first down, lowering the shoulder into the defensive back to get the first down. That was the play that I was looking at, and I'm like, okay, yeah, Georgia Tech just wants it more, guys. Whether Florida State's good or bad this year, it doesn't matter. Georgia Tech wants this game more, and I think that's a tall tale sign of how this team is going to perform, and I think if the Noles continue to play this way, they're going to be in the L by the end of the season. Of course, they're going to have to play Duke. They're going to have to play Clemson. They're going to have to play Miami. If those teams work their behinds off and they want it more than the Noles will be going bowling, but they won't be going to the playoffs. That's pretty much what's going to happen there. That team, like I said, most unorganized team that I've seen from Florida State. I'm usually accustomed to seeing this team have some type of balance, whether it be in the running game, which was the 1990s Seminoles, or the passing game, which was basically pretty much just the 2000s on the early 2000s. You guys remember around 2006, 2007, 2008, and on, they've become slightly more of a passing team, or at least have had better receivers than running backs on average. And so when I look at that team, like I said, guys, the team doesn't look very good. It just doesn't look very good, very unorganized, very unhealthy looking team that we saw yesterday. Unfortunately for the Noles, it was a 3-point game, and I think that hurts even more because you realize you were in a close game against an unranked Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket team. This wasn't the Georgia team that you played last year. As a matter of fact, maybe y'all should just stay away from Georgia. That just realization just came to me right now. So you guys just got smashed by Georgia because y'all thought y'all should go to a national championship game. And I guess you guys carried that into the season, and now you lost to a Georgia Tech team that's nowhere near the level of the Georgia team itself that you guys just lost to. Ouch. I don't. It's not a good look. It's not a good look there, Florida State. You guys better rut the ship immediately. Okay, I mean, like, immediately before things get really, really bad. But those are my thoughts, guys. Those are just my thoughts of what's going on there for college football. Like I said, seasons to start for the Gators and the Hurricanes next week. Florida State getting the early start time. The Georgia Tech game is a game they normally play a little bit later in the season, so I guess that's the only thing that really makes this game a little weird. It's usually like a week 4 meeting or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but they never played them in the first game of the season. So this switch up in schedule probably did Georgia Tech a little good, especially catching Florida State flat-footed the way they did yesterday. So it is what it is. But again, Miami and the Gators will hook it up next week, guys, just in case you guys didn't catch that before. That game is going to be Saturday, August 31st, 3:30 p.m., mid-time game. So if you got early stuff to do, knock it out, boom. And listen, college football is my baby. I love college football. So you guys can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be watching that game live. All right. So I would definitely have some feedback for you guys on both of those teams. I'm not going to miss a beat. I have no desire to do so. And so as a result, like I said, guys, I will definitely let you guys know what's going on next week once we see that game and see how both those teams perform. And then we'll have a little bit more to talk about as far as college football is concerned. But that's it for the time being, guys. Let's go ahead and get into the MLS real quick, get into our final meeting, and then we'll discuss some MLB action as far as the Rays and the Marlins are concerned, and then I'll send you guys on your way, okay? So as far as the MLS is concerned, guys, if you guys are watching the MLS, then you have had the privilege to witness the best team in the MLS that I would say. I mean, obviously, how could I not feel that way? It's obviously Inter Miami. That's correct, guys. Inter Miami rocking a 17-4 record. This team, in my opinion, is the best team in all of the MLS. They played the second best team in the MLS, at least in the eastern side as far as that's concerned, with Cincinnati, and they 2-0'd them. Good job, boys. Good job. There's not a whole lot to say about that. At the end of the day, this team is just playing so well, and it doesn't surprise me to see them playing well because they were playing well before the break, played well during the break, only dropped one game of out-of-league play, and I think that was a one-score game. I actually think it was 1-0. It was a very, very defensive affair that we saw during that series that was away from the league, and then returned to league play against Cincinnati, which is a team that they actually beat before we left league play. So it's very interesting to see them beat that team twice. That team, in my opinion, was the biggest threat to them in the MLS. I don't think that there are really any other threats for them to really be worried about. So, as a result, I'm super proud of this team, and I just look forward to seeing what they're able to do moving forward. Offensively, they're not lacking anything. Defensively, they're not lacking anything. Like I said, best team in the MLS, guys. Super proud of them, and like I said, just can't wait. T5, hey, bro, listen, I've been missing college football so much. I miss NFL football, but I miss NFL football because everybody watches it, right? Let's be clear. Everybody watches the NFL. Everybody watches the Super Bowl. And, you got people who, you remember the whole Taylor Swift bit that really made it such an unfun year last year, unfortunately. And listen, I'm impartial to the Chiefs. I actually like the Chiefs. I've always liked them as a franchise. This is not like the Saints or, some of those other teams that I just can't stand. But man, football was so hard to deal with last year because of all of the let's be honest, the Taylor Swift bit. And with it being back and with that season now being behind us, I am super excited, even more excited than I was last year for the return of football, guys. I mean, this is going to be phenomenal. This is going to be great, guys. So, but college football is just that much better because you don't have those problems in college football, right? Everything is just who's number one, baby. Who's number one, who's playing, what great games do we have? Next Saturday, we have a bunch of ranked games that are going to be played. I cannot wait, guys. I am going to be flipping through my my streams like nobody's business. You guys can count on it, man. I love college football. I literally just cannot wait for the return of my Florida Gators, guys. And I think we're going to do great this year. We're going to do phenomenal. And excuse my French there, but we're gonna do phenomenal, guys. In any case, though, let's go ahead and talk about Orlando City. Orlando City back in the MLS, guys. Unfortunately, they dropped their game on return to league play. That is as sad as it gets, guys. I was hoping Orlando was gonna feel refreshed after this out of league play, and they're not. They're more tired than they were before the out of league play. They lost to Sporting Kansas City 3-0 on their return back to league play. Sporting Kansas City is playing terrible soccer right now, guys. I guess Orlando's just playing terrible soccer too at the moment. Orlando City dropped to 9-10. They were 500 at 9-9. Now they're 9-10. And with that win, it was able to help Sporting KC increase to 7-14, and they were 6-14 before that. So, what's going on, man? I don't know. Orlando's just not playing good soccer at the time. I guess all the good players went to Miami. I guess that's probably the easy way to look at it. But realistically speaking, again, Miami's they're the best soccer team in the MLS. So if Orlando wants to try and beat them, be my guest. But unfortunately, Orlando, it looks like you guys are going to have to pack this season up and hopefully do some work in the offseason, acquire some top tier talent and go draft. Obviously, and there's going to be a ton to draft from, especially since we just watched the Olympics, right? So go out, pay attention. Look who's playing soccer. Respectively, look who's not signed. Go get somebody good, man, or go get a bunch of good guys. But I say that to say that also with Orlando, they've never really been recruiting well either. Miami's one thing, but it's like that in Miami, right? Like it's one of those places that it also has the location is a plus. People used to go play for the Miami Dolphins. You guys remember the Miami Dolphins 72 team that went undefeated? And you ask yourself, well, how did they go undefeated? Well, I'll tell you, man, you're in a great location, first things first. It doesn't hurt to be in Miami. It doesn't hurt to be in New York. It doesn't hurt to be in South California or Texas, right? Like those are the places that people think, when you think of population, when you think about popularity, those are the places that people think about. So I think that's another case. And obviously with Miami, like I said, but they've been the best soccer team all year long. There's no doubt about it. They've been whooping everybody on the East and the West. Again, rocking a 17-4 record says a lot. What is that? That's breaking the fourth wall, literally +1. So for the time being, Orlando's just going to have to, weather the storm, which is the rest of the season, get to the offseason, do some shuffling, figure out what they need, where they need it, and then just attack it. As far as the future is concerned for them, they're getting ready to play Nashville. That game is going to be Saturday, August 31st at 7:30 p.m., guys, in case you want to check out some Orlando soccer. Like I said, this team is nothing to be excited about. I've seen a little bit, not impressed. Unfortunately, with my provider, we don't get many of the local soccer games because it's much easier to get it on, I think it's ESPN actually. And then there's one other app that they use it on, but on live TV, they don't have it on as much as they have the baseball games, basketball, football games. So if you get a chance to go check it out, I would do so. Go check it out. But more specifically, if you'd like to watch Inter Miami, which is, like I said, I think they're the best team in the MLS, their next game, and I missed this earlier, so I do apologize, guys, is going to be against Chicago. That is Saturday, August 31st at 8:30 p.m. So both of these games are August 31st games, but they start an hour away from each other. So if you want to flip back and forth, you'll be able to do that. But again, with the Miami game starting later, I could see you guys checking out Orlando for like an hour, then switching it over to Miami, just kind of focusing on that game. This is a team I think that's primed for a championship, and I don't think anybody's going to stop them. But like I said, August 31st, respectively, 7:30 for the Orlando game and 8:30 for the Miami game, guys. And that's what to expect for the MLS, okay? Go Miami, go Orlando, that's it. I guess that's pretty much all there is to say about that. Let's take a quick peek back at the comments again, and then I'll send you guys into the last break of the evening. When we get back, we'll wrap things up with the MLS, and then I'll send you guys on your way. See, I can watch an out-of-conference college game. It's that good every year. Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on that, guys. For those of you, again, back to the college football bit as we were talking about before. I personally watch a ton of teams, right? Like I don't know about you guys, and if you guys do watch a ton of teams, let me know. But I'm not just a Gators guy, right? Like, so I like the Gators. I love the Red River rivalry. It's one of my favorite rivalries in all of college football, right? So Oklahoma, Texas, I watch that game almost every year. I'm never mad with who wins. I do specifically like Texas a little bit more than Oklahoma, but realistically, this is a game that I watch every year. You have the Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn. I watch that game every year. But then you get out of you get out of the ranked area, and you start looking at some of these FCS schools, right? So I've watched South Dakota State. I've watched Fresno State. I've watched San Jose State. I've watched Appalachian State. There's what is it? Eastern Carolina. Those are some teams that I like to watch, man. They put on some shows. I've seen them play their tails off. I'll tell you what, though, my favorite in recent memory, and I think that I would say still my favorite generic upset in recent memory was when Purdue walked into Ohio State, Ohio State came to Purdue, and Purdue waxed them. Oh, I was just so happy. Oh my God. If there's any Ohio State fans, I apologize. I'm a Gator. We don't like you guys. We could never coexist. There's never going to be a time where the University of Florida and the University of Ohio State, or Ohio State University, the Ohio State University, is ever going to love each other. Sorry, guys. But there's never going to be a time where that takes place. However, I do recognize how successful that program is, and big ups to them. But listen, when Purdue dropped them, I was Super happy. Super duper happy. Watched the game and everything. They couldn't stop throwing pick sixes. It was great. I hope it happens again. But yeah, no, it doesn't matter what you watch. Number one is, number one through 25 actually can go down at any moment. And I think that's the thing that I love most about college football, guys. Let me know what you guys think about as far as college football. What's the most important part about it? I would say that it is the momentum. I think momentum is a big part of college football. And I think because of that, we've seen a lot of success by teams that we didn't think were going to be successful. So, but that's my thought process, guys. Like I said, let's go ahead and get to the final break of the evening. When I get back, we'll go ahead and cover the MLS, and I'll send you guys on your way with some food for thought. Keep it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, you guys.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody, and welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you guys so much for keeping it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. I can't tell you guys how much you mean to me and the support, everything. I do this because I love it, guys, and I hope to continue to bring this content to you moving forward. But with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap up our show with the final segment of the evening, guys. I've been saving this segment for later just because both of our teams aren't playing good baseball right now. So I'm not going to say embarrassed. I love my Rays. I love them. Yes, they can't win a championship. I get it. Still love them. The Browns still have their fans. The Buffalo Bills still have their fans. I'm still going to be a Rays fan. So let's get into it real quick, guys. The Rays are rocking a 600 record with 65-65. They're not good. They're not bad. They just don't know what they want to be at the moment. I'll tell you one thing that we are is in rotation. There's been a lot of players coming and going, but can you help it with everything that's been going on this season? Not really. When you think about how last season ended, it makes perfect sense. But guys, like I said, 65-65, lost to the Dodgers 3-1, lost the series to the Athletics, the series before the Dodgers, which is what we didn't get to talk about because the first game was last week. They lost that game 2-2. Lost that series 2-2, I should say. Lost the series against the Dodgers 2-1. So that would obviously put them at 4-3 out of their last, 3-4 out of their last 7. Not a good look for the Rays. They're going to have to improve. They're going to have the opportunity to do that against the Mariners tomorrow, starting at 9:40 p.m. Guys, it's going to be a late start time for that game, but there've been some late start times given everything that's going on. Mariners are rocking a 66-65 record. So both of these teams are about in the same boat. I expect them to go back and forth and trade bunches like Riddick, Bowen, Evander Holyfield, but we'll see what happens, guys. That's what's going on there as far as the Rays are concerned. That series is going to be a 3-game series, just in case you were wondering. But like I said, next game tomorrow, 9:40 p.m. Mariners, be there or don't be there. You can't be square because the Rays are square right now. So it is what it is. As far as the team that's playing worse than the Rays are, that would be the Marlins. The Marlins rocking a 47-83 record. Womp, womp, womp. That's a terrible record, guys. They're not playing very good baseball. They were able to beat the Cubs 7-2. That was earlier today, I believe it was. So, good win right there. But the Cubs aren't exactly the best team in all of the MLB. They're 65-66, one game below 500. They're struggling just as much as the Rays are. The Marlins are struggling even more. They lost the series against the Diamondbacks 0-3, which is the reason why they have 83 losses right now. And then, of course, the series to the Cubs, they also dropped 2-1. So both of these teams losing series back-to-back. Not a good look for Florida baseball. But if you want to check out some Marlins baseball, guys, next series is going to be against the Rockies. The series starts tomorrow at 8:40 p.m. Tomorrow, 8:40 p.m. for Marlins, 9:40 for Rays, just in case you want to go check that out, guys. But yeah, I mean, that's what I have going for you guys, man. 4-game series against the Rockies. Get ready for that series to start. It's going to be a decent series, guys. So we'll see what happens, and we'll go on from there. Good luck to the Rays. Good luck to the Marlins. I hope they're able to figure it out, guys. But thank you so much for watching with me on Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it's brought to you powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I thank you guys so very much for everything that you guys do, for all the support. I can't wait to see and talk to you guys next week about everything that's going on. And once college football is in full swing and the NFL will be 1 week away from taking off its regular season, guys. Again, thank you guys so much for your love and support, and I will see you guys next time. Take care and be blessed. And until next time.